They stopped looking at each other, and that's when the love began to fade. The hidden power of eye contact. Close your eyes for a moment. Think of the last person who truly looked at you, not glanced, not scanned, but really looked. Not at your clothes, not at your phone, but at you. There's a strange silence in that moment. A silence that says more than any conversation ever could. Because when someone holds your gaze, even briefly, something inside you shifts. Your defenses lower, your nervous system softens, and for a second you remember what it feels like to be seen. Most people go their entire lives surrounded by others, but rarely truly seen. And the difference between loneliness and connection often comes down to one simple act: eye contact. Eye contact is the first language you ever learned. Before you spoke your first word, before you understood your own name, you understood eyes. As a newborn, your world was blurry. Shapes and colors meant nothing, but faces mattered. You searched for them instinctively, and when your eyes met your mother's, something powerful happened. Your nervous system settled. Your heart slowed. You felt safe, not because of words, because of presence. Scientists call this attunement, the synchronization between two nervous systems. But you don't need science to recognize it. You felt it. You felt it when someone looked at you during a difficult moment and suddenly you weren't carrying the weight alone. You felt it when a friend caught your eye across a crowded room, and, without saying anything, you both understood exactly what the other was thinking. You felt it when a stranger held your gaze for just a second too long, and something about it stayed with you long after they disappeared. Eye contact is recognition. It is the silent acknowledgement that says, "I know you exist." And in this moment, you are not invisible. This matters more than we realize, because invisibility is one of the deepest human fears, not rejection, not failure, not even loss, but invisibility, to feel like you move through the world unseen, unnoticed, unrecognized. This is why solitary confinement is considered psychological torture. It's not just the absence of conversation, it's the absence of being witnessed. Without being seen, the mind begins to question its own reality, and the opposite is equally true. When someone truly looks at you, it stabilizes you. It grounds you. It reminds your nervous system that you are real and that you matter. This is why certain glances stay with you for decades. You might forget the exact words someone said. You might forget the details of the place, but you remember how they looked at you, because in that moment, you weren't just present, you were acknowledged. 2. Your brain and body literally bond through eye contact. This isn't just emotional. It's biological. When two people lock eyes, the brain releases oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. It's the same chemical released during physical affection, childbirth, and deep emotional intimacy. Oxytocin lowers fear. It increases trust. It opens the door to emotional connection. At the same time, your brain begins reading micro-expressions, tiny, unconscious movements in the other person's face. Within milliseconds, your nervous system starts answering silent questions. Are they safe? Are they open? Are they present with me? And here's the part most people don't realize. This process is mutual. When you look at someone with warmth, their nervous system responds. Their body softens, their breathing slows, their brain mirrors your state. This is called neural synchronization. Your brains literally begin operating in rhythm. Two separate nervous systems briefly functioning as one. This is why eye contact can calm someone who is anxious, why it can de-escalate conflict, why it can deepen attraction instantly. It's also why the absence of eye contact feels so painful. Think about the last time someone you cared about stopped looking at you the way they used to. Maybe they still talk to you, Maybe they still showed up physically, but their eyes were elsewhere, on their phone, on the television, on anything but you, and something inside you knew, because your nervous system noticed before your mind did. Eye contact isn't just a reflection of connection. It's one of its primary causes. This is why couples in strong relationships instinctively look at each other often. Small glances, quick checks, silent confirmations that say, "I'm still here. You still matter to me." And when those glances disappear, the emotional distance often follows, not suddenly. Gradually, quietly, almost invisibly. Until one day, two people who once felt deeply connected feel like strangers sitting across from each other, not because they stopped talking, but because they stopped seeing. 3. Modern life is quietly destroying this essential human bond. Look around any restaurant. Couples sit across from each other, both staring down at glowing screens. Friends gather together, physically present but mentally elsewhere. Parents scroll while their children try to get their attention. We are more connected digitally than any generation in history, and yet loneliness has reached epidemic levels. Because connection does not come from proximity, it comes from presence, and presence requires attention. Eye contact is one of the purest forms of attention you can give another human being. It says, "For this moment, nothing else matters." But modern life constantly pulls that attention away. Notifications, messages, endless streams of information competing for your focus. Every time you choose your screen over someone's eyes, you weaken an opportunity for connection. Not dramatically, subtly, but over time. Subtle choices shape emotional reality. Relationships rarely collapse from one catastrophic moment. They erode through thousands of small moments of disconnection. Moments when someone wanted to be seen and wasn't. Moments when someone reached emotionally and met distraction instead of presence. This is why people often say things like, "I felt alone," even when they were right next to me. Because physical proximity without emotional presence creates a unique kind of loneliness, the kind that makes you feel invisible. And yet, the solution remains incredibly simple. Not easy, but simple. Look up. Look at people when they speak. Hold their gaze long enough to let their nervous system know you're truly there, not performing, not waiting for your turn to speak. Just there, present. Because presence is rare now, and rarity creates power. Practical shift: how to rebuild connection. Through eye contact, you don't need dramatic life changes, just small intentional moments. When someone speaks to you, pause. Look at them fully. Let your attention settle. Notice the color of their eyes. Notice the subtle movements of their expression. Notice the person, not just their words. At first it may feel uncomfortable. Vulnerability often does, but discomfort is not danger. It's unfamiliarity, and unfamiliarity is where growth lives. Try this with someone you trust. Sit across from them in silence for 1 minute. No talking, no distractions, just eye contact. At first you may laugh, you may feel awkward, but then something deeper emerges. Walls lower, masks soften, and you remember what it feels like to simply exist together. Not as roles, not as responsibilities, but as two conscious beings sharing the same moment. This is the foundation of all meaningful relationships. Not grand gestures, not constant conversation, but simple, repeated moments of presence. 1 day, someone will look at you for the last time, and you won't know it when it happens. One day, the person you love will speak, and there will be no future conversations left. Not because love failed, but because time ran out. In the end, you won't remember most of the words. You'll remember the looks, the quiet moments, the times someone saw you, and you saw them back. Because being seen is one of the deepest human needs, and being truly seen is one of the deepest forms of love. So today, try something simple. Look up from your screen. When someone speaks to you, give them your full attention, even for just a few seconds longer than usual. Let them feel seen, and let yourself be seen too. Because the strongest bonds in your life won't be built through words, they'll be built in silence. If this message reminded you of someone, send it to them. Sometimes the most important conversations don't start with talking, they start with a look.